I'm Don Keating. Thanks for joining me for another edition of Brunswick Cable Access News right here on BAT TV. And this week our headlines include the mayor representing Brunswick in the nation's capital, Brunswick School Board approves financial forecast, and schools get $3.5 million from sales tax. So now join us here on Brunswick Cable Access News on BAT TV. Brunswick Mayor Ron Falcone has had political aspirations for as long as he can remember, and this month his passion took him to new heights, the White House. Falcone, who is in the first year of his second term as the city's mayor, traveled to Washington, D.C. October 1st to 3rd to speak as the first Filipino American mayor elected to office in the state of Ohio. As October is Filipino American History Month, Falcone was invited by the National Federation of Filipino American Associations to serve as a member of the panel discussion that centered around his life growing up as a Filipino American citizen in Northeast Ohio, as well as his recent involvement in local politics. An attorney by trade, Falcone was appointed to a vacant seat on City Council in 2008 and was reelected to the position to serve a full 4-year term 2 years later. He then went on to run for the mayor's office and won in 2014. Joining him in the discussion regarding the future of the 4 million strong Filipino American community in the United States was Rachel Arizmendi, councilwoman and former mayor of Sierra Madre, California. Steve Monastery, the deputy director for the White House Office of Public Liaison, moderated the discussion, which took place October 2nd in the Eisenhower Executive Office building at the White House as part of a week-long series of events in the nation's capital, which culminated with a gala that took place later in the week. Much of the discussion for the panelists, Falcone said, centered around the two speakers' ventures into political arena. Falcone said his background is especially unusual given the fact that his parents immigrated to the United States in the 1960s. Most of the time when people moved to the United States, the way my parents did back in the 1960s, they came here to pursue careers in engineering and medicine, he said. It is still unusual to find someone with the background who elected to pursue a career in politics, especially as a member of the Republican Party. To provide insight into his background, Falcone told the approximately 200 guests in attendance for the session that his parents met in Manila, where they were both applying at the U.S. Embassy for visas that would allow them to come to the United States. In addition to noting how his family participated in the community back then, he also addressed the changes that have taken place over the years, particularly with regard to Filipino American heritage and how a growing percentage of that population is becoming more involved in their respective communities. For someone like me, this was an amazing opportunity, a dream come true, Falcone said this week. It was definitely a fun experience. After making several trips to Washington over the past 2 years, including a visit for President Donald Trump's inauguration, Falcone said he is still unable to say he has shaken hands with the president. I've met Vice President Pence a couple of times, but I haven't been able to cross meeting the president off my bucket list yet, Falcone joked. Just give him time. The Board of Education got its first peek at the district's 5-year financial forecast this week as presented by the school's district's treasurer, who said both revenues and expenditures between now and 2023 appear to be quote-unquote relatively stable. District Treasurer Mark Pepera said the district will use the financial forecast, which the state requires to be updated annually, to help drive much of its decision-making moving forward. This is really our financial barometer, Pepera said. As far as expenditures are concerned, Pepera said, Brunswick's finances are very similar to other districts in the area, with approximately 80% of its expenditures going towards employee salaries. Like other districts in the area, this means that the bulk of our revenues are used to accomplish the district's mission of educating our students, he said. As far as projected revenues are concerned, Pepera said the numbers are quote-unquote relatively flat. Because of that, he said, the district plans to pay very close attention to the governor's biennial budget, which expires this year, with a new budget expected to be enacted by July 1st. Any cuts to the revenue the district receives from the state could dramatically alter the 5-year financial forecast, he said. Pepera also noted the district stands to receive refunds from the Ohio Bureau of Workers' Compensation for both 2018 and 19 to the tune of approximately $100,000 for each disbursement. However, with the district's labor agreements set to expire in 2019, he also noted that the rising cost of health care continues to weigh on the district's bottom line. This is especially true when it comes to drug areas and new technology and procedures, all of which are relatively costly, he said. To keep costs in check, Pepera said the district is evaluating its food service program this school year with the help of a consultant in an effort to improve the sale of school lunches. Ultimately, the goal is for the program to be self-funded. We're going to keep a close eye on this, not only this year, but for the next few years, Pepera said, noting that the opening of the consolidated middle school in 2020 could have a significant impact on operations as well. We don't want to make any hasty decisions right now that could end up costing us in the long run. By consolidating the existing 3 middle schools, Pepera said the district is anticipating other efficiencies as well, which could also have a positive effect on the district's bottom line. In conjunction with the construction of the new middle school, the school board unanimously approved the purchase of another residential property on Princeton Lane October 15th. The house, which is located at 1425 Princeton Lane, was purchased for $150,000. Superintendent Michael Mayo said the most recent purchase brings the number of homes the district has purchased in conjunction with the project to 7, for a total cost in excess of $1 million, not including the retail properties the district has also purchased on Pearl Road. When the board questioned the sum the district had already spent on purchasing property, Mayo assured the board the project remains on budget. There was a considerable amount of money put in the budget for the project to fund the purchase of properties, Mayo said. So financially, we are right on track. City Council joined a number of other governments and agencies across Ohio last week, passing a resolution strongly opposing State Issue 1 by a vote of 6-1. If passed, State Issue 1 would make possession of illegal drugs of any kind, including marijuana, cocaine, methamphetamine, heroin, and fentanyl, no more than a misdemeanor offense throughout the state. In addition to prohibiting courts from ordering persons on probation for felonies to be sent to prison for non-criminal probation violations, the law would create a sentence credits program for inmates' participation in rehabilitative work or educational programs, and require the state to spend savings due to a reduction of inmates resulting from Issue 1 on drug treatment, crime victim, and rehabilitation programs. Though proponents of the state constitutional amendment claim it will lower the number of those in state prisons for low-level drug offenses and will thereby save the state money, city officials agree the law's passage could increase the amount of drug abuse and overdoses in Brunswick and the state. This would result in Ohio having the most lenient drug laws and criminal laws in the U.S. with regard to the possession and use of dangerous drugs like fentanyl, heroin, and cocaine, said Ward 3 Councilman Joe Salzgerber, who is also a local attorney. State Issue 1 has been formally opposed by law enforcement and court agencies across Ohio, including the Ohio Fraternal Order of Police, the Ohio Association of Chiefs of Police, Buckeye State Sheriff's Association, the Ohio Bar Association, several municipal court judges, and both candidates for Ohio Attorney General. Police Chief Brian Olin said that locally, the city's police department also objects, claiming that drug use remains prevalent in Brunswick as well as throughout Northeast Ohio. Drug use leads to other crimes, Olin said. It's not just about drug usage and getting people treatment. That's important, very important, but we also have a lot of tools in the place in Medina County. Olin said Brunswick police already have a process in place to allow those who do not have previous charges to seek treatment. If proof of completed treatment is presented to the prosecutor's office, criminal charges are dropped, he said. County commissioners adopted a resolution stating their opposition to State Issue 1, which appears on the ballot in the November election. Issue 1 is a proposed amendment to the Ohio Constitution which would reduce the penalties for some drug-related crimes and divert money which would have been spent on incarcerating drug offenders into rehabilitation programs. Commissioners state several reasons for joining other organizations in opposing Issue 1, including the opinion that it will not increase treatment options in Medina County or protect neighborhoods and will quote-unquote likely increase the number of children in the custody of the Medina County Department of Job and Family Services by leaving addicts in crisis on the streets. Commissioner Bill Hudson said he also objected to Issue 1 because it is in the form of a constitutional amendment, which will be difficult to modify if it goes into effect, and that most of the funding for the campaign to pass the issue comes from out-of-state organizations. In other business, the commissioners approved a 3-year agreement between the City of Brunswick and the Medina County Office for Older Adults to provide a variety of senior services and programs at the City Recreation Center. They approved an amendment to its agreement with Aramark to provide meals to residents of the Medina County home. They awarded a bid for gasoline to Ports Petroleum of Worcester to sell the Medina County Engineering Center 6,300 gallons of regular unleaded gasoline at $1.90 per gallon. They also appointed 3 people to serve as alternatives on the Medina County Planning Commission. Ralph Copley will serve as the alternative representative for the City of Wadsworth, and Pat Ryan and Christine Kusnarek will serve as alternatives for the county's Township Trustees Association. Bicycle safety is an issue that has attracted the attention of Medina County Commissioners. Beth Schnabel, president of nonprofit Bike Medina County, appeared before commissioners October 16th to present a certificate of appreciation to Murray Van Epp. Van Epp is a cycling enthusiast from Medina Township who has pledged $5,000 to Bike Medina County for the purchase of road signs that remind drivers of Ohio's new law, which requires motorists to allow at least 3 feet of clearance when passing a cyclist on roads and streets. Van Epp estimates that he's cycled about 100,000 miles over the years, and much of that distance has been along roads in Medina County. He said the safety of cyclists has long been a concern of his, and he was happy to make a donation to Bike Medina County to bring attention to the issue. Sales tax revenue seems to be on the rise in Medina County, and that's good news for public schools. County commissioners recently authorized the distribution of $3.5 million in sales tax revenue collected in July, August, and September for capital improvements in school districts around the county. That's up from $3 million collected in the second quarter of the year. County Auditor Mike Kovac reports that sales tax collections typically fluctuate throughout the year, dropping somewhat in April, May, and June, and rising again in the third quarter. That was the case this year and last year as well, when second quarter collections totaled $2.9 million before rising to $3.5 million again in the third quarter of 2017. Area schools have been benefiting from sales tax revenue since county voters approved a 0.5% tax in 2007, making Medina the only county in Ohio to pass a sales tax for capital improvements in public schools. The funds from the sales tax are awarded proportionately based on the number of students enrolled in each school district. The money is divided between the county's 7 public school districts and the Medina County Career Center, with small percentages also awarded to the Medina County Board of Developmental Disabilities and Rittman and Norwayne school districts, which serve small sections of the county. Following is a list of the approximate sales tax amounts going to each school district in October. Black River, $82,600. Brunswick, $881,000. Buckeye, $276,000. Cloverleaf, $297,000. Career Center, $128,000. Highland, $392,000. Medina MRDD Board, $4,200. Medina, $842,000. Norwayne, $7,000. Rittman, $2,700. And Wadsworth, $591,000. Ohio voters have a number of candidates they need to consider when it comes to the November 6th election. There are several races for state and federal office that will be on the ballot. For governor, in the governor's race is Democratic candidate Richard Cordray, Republican candidate Mike DeWine, Green Party candidate Constance Gadel Newton, and Libertarian candidate Travis Irvine. Cordray, whose running mate is Betty Sutton, has served as the director of the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau under President Obama. DeWine, whose running mate is John Husted, has served as Ohio Attorney General in the Ohio State Senate, the U.S. House of Representatives, as Ohio Lieutenant Governor, and the U.S. Senate. He has also served as the Ohio Attorney General and the Ohio Treasurer. Gadel Newton, whose running mate is Brett Joseph, is an attorney and activist and is the co-chair of the Ohio Green Party. Irvine, whose running mate is J. Todd Grayson, was an intern on Capitol Hill and he ran for U.S. Congress in Ohio's 12th District in 2010. For Attorney General, Democrat Steve Dettelbach and Republican Dave Yost are the candidates for Ohio Attorney General. Dettelbach was a federal prosecutor for more than 20 years. He was appointed U.S. Attorney for Ohio's Northern District in 2009. Yost is Ohio's 32nd auditor. He also served for 8 years as the elected prosecutor for Delaware County. For Auditor of State, candidates for Ohio Auditor of State include Libertarian Robert Coogan, Republican Keith Faber, and Democrat Zach Space. Coogan retired from the Health Collaborative at the beginning of the year and also worked in accounting at Cincinnati Bell for 32 years. He was also an adjunct professor at Xavier University. Faber is the state representative for Ohio's 84th District. He previously served 8 years in the Ohio Senate. And Space was elected to serve as representative of Ohio's 18th District in 2006. He has also served as a public defender and as Dover's city law director. For Secretary of State, candidates for the Ohio Secretary of State include Democrat Kathleen Clyde, Republican Frank LaRose, and Libertarian Dustin Nana. Clyde has served in the State House and also worked in the Ohio Senate as Deputy Legal Counsel to the Speaker of the Ohio House. LaRose is a U.S. Army veteran and is serving as a state senator. Nana is the Vice Chairman of the Libertarian Party of Ohio. He also organized the Central Ohio Region Gary Johnson campaign. For Treasurer of State, Democrat Rob Richardson and Republican Robert Sprague are running for the Ohio Treasurer of State. Richardson graduated from law school in 2008 and served on the University of Cincinnati's Board of Trustees. Sprague has served in the Ohio House of Representatives and also as the Findlay City Treasurer and Auditor. For U.S. Senate, Democrat incumbent Sherrod Brown is running against Republican challenger Jim Renacci for U.S. Senate. Prior to serving as senator, Brown was the representative for Ohio's 13th Congressional District, Ohio's Secretary of State, and a member of the Ohio General Assembly. Renacci is currently the representative for Ohio's 16th Congressional District and also served as Wadsworth's mayor. U.S. House District 16. Republican Anthony Gonzalez will face off against Democrat Susan Moran Palmer in the U.S. 16th District race. Gonzalez spent 5 years in the NFL and earned an MBA from Stanford University. Palmer has a 30-year career as a healthcare provider and has served on the board and legacy council of Providence House, a nonprofit in Cleveland. For the Ohio District 69, for state representative in the 69th District, Democrat Carol Brenstall is facing off against Republican Steve Hambly. Brenstall is a Medina area businesswoman who has a BA in accounting. She works with Sustainable Medina County. Hambly is the incumbent in the 69th District, serving his second term. He has also served as a Medina County Commissioner and Brunswick City Councilor. Brunswick City Councilor. And there you have it. If I might say anything about Election Day, whatever you do, take 15 minutes, get out, exercise your right to vote. Too many people take disadvantage of that, and I think we need to get out there and make our voices heard in the ballot box, no matter who you punch the ballot for. Coming up, we're going to take a look at that weather information as we slide into the month of November. It's been cooler than normal for the past couple of weeks. The question is, will that trend continue? Hey, welcome back. How many of you out there, by a show of hands, would love to see some of that heat and humidity back that we were just complaining about a short time ago, right? I would for sure. Not as humid, but the warmth would be nice. This spell of below normal temperatures is going to continue for a short period of time anyway. A beautiful scene at the school there. Let's take a look at climatological data for the month of November here in Brunswick, Ohio. Average high starts out at 54 degrees on the first day of the month, and it drops down to 42 degrees by the end of the month. Your average low starts at 36 degrees and drops to 28 degrees. Precipitation is 2.48 inches and snowfall 3.1 inches. Now your record high, 81 degrees, that's the warmest it's been during the month of November on the first day in 1950, and the coldest below zero, -2 degrees on the 30th of November, back in that frigid winter starting out in 1976-77. Let's take a look at your climatological data short term for the Brunswick, Medina County area, November 2nd to the 8th. The average high starts at 56 and drops to 53 degrees, and your average low starts at 35 and drops to 33 degrees. Your average precipitation, 0.63 inches, and snowfall is 1/10 of an inch per average. That's over a 30-year time span. National Weather Service looks at the temperature pattern like this for the next 7 days. Above normal chances from South Texas through the deep south and up along the East Coast, and a big old bullseye out here in the Rockies for below normal temperatures as far as the Central Plains and into the eastern Mississippi Valley could be below normal as well. And the West Coast could be well above normal. Precipitation now, let's take a look at that map. As far as that's concerned, much of the country will have at least a 33% chance or higher of above normal precipitation. If we can take a look at that map right here, you have it from the New England states down into the Ohio Valley and westward into the southern Rockies, and also up here in the northern Rockies into the plains and the west coast of the U.S., the only place that may see below normal precipitation. So all bad things come to an end as all good things come to an end. And sooner or later, the pattern of below normal temperatures will even out. But until then, bear with it. We have a lot more cold air yet to come. Coming up, we're going to take a look at your bulletin board events and see what good things we have going on out there in a minute. Well, I'll tell you folks, that weather forecast doesn't look too optimistic, does it? Well, the good thing is, spring's just around the corner after we get through winter. Let's take a look at the bulletin board events. The Isaac Walton League, one of the nation's oldest and most respected conservation organizations in the United States, with a Medina chapter located at 7085 Friendsville Road in Lafayette Township, it's hosting a turkey shoot on Sundays through November 25th. Turkey shoots involve shooting a shotgun at paper targets with the closest pellet to the center of the bullseye being the day's winner. Proceeds of the shoot help support the league and its environmental charities. The day's pre-sign up starts at 8 a.m. with the shoot to follow at 10 a.m. The Isaac Walton League offers an indoor waiting area with refreshments available for purchase. Remember that the shoots proceed in all weather no matter what, so dress accordingly. For more details on the turkey shoot, contact information is listed below at the bottom of the screen. The 17th Annual Nature Art Fest, featuring unique items inspired by nature from professional artists, will be held at Wolf Creek Environmental Center in Sharon Center. From paintings to stained glass, you'll find unique holiday gifts for everyone on your list on Saturday, November 10th from 10 a.m. until 5 p.m. and Sunday, the 11th from noon until 4 p.m. Bring the family and spend the day at one of the most beautiful parks in Medina County. More information is available through the links listed below at the bottom of your screen. The Cuyahoga Valley Scenic Railroad is proud to support our veterans with our Veterans Day train ride on Friday, November 9th. We invite veterans and their family members, a limit of 4, for a complimentary 2-hour round trip through the Cuyahoga Valley National Park. Enjoy the scenery and ride the rails through the park. A concession car will be made available throughout the duration of the train ride. The train will depart from Rockside Station at 9:30 a.m. and from Akron Northside Station at 3 p.m. We encourage passengers to join us for a demonstration from the Color Guard at 9:10 a.m. at Rockside Station and 2:40 p.m. at Akron Northside Station. We also invite the public to Peninsula Depot, located at 1630 Mill Street, as the train passes at 10 a.m. to 10:30 a.m. and 3:30 to 4 p.m. The Pooler Express is back. Experience the magic of the holiday season aboard the Pooler Express. So get the family in their pajamas and board the train for a fun-filled evening excursion, which includes hot cocoa and cookies. The wonder continues as the train pulls into the glistening North Pool Village filled with caroling elves. There's even a special visit aboard the train from Santa himself. The Pooler Express train ride, presented by Countertop Solutions, returns this year at Cuyahoga Valley Scenic Railroad from November 10th to December 21st. Just in time for Santa to get back north and finish those toys off, right? For complete dates and ticket information, see the information listed in the link below. Hey, one last thing to tell you about. Don't forget to set your clocks back an hour. Spring ahead, fall behind. On the night of November 3rd, November 4th, Sunday early morning at 2 a.m., set the clock back an hour to 1 a.m. Because if you don't, you'll be early for church, right? Thanks for joining me this week on Brunswick Cable Access News right here on BAT TV. I appreciate your company. And until the next time, I'm Don Keating.
The preceding program was made possible through the use of equipment and facilities of Brunswick Area Television.